Morning. Welcome aboard to the Morning Note. My name is Carlos Garcia, founder and CEO of Gar Capital. It is Thursday, February 1st, 2024. Happy new month to everybody. Let's go ahead and get started on the day, taking a look at what we're watching. Some pre-market movers are scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Glad to be with you. Again, as always, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here on the YouTube channel. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Let's go ahead and rock and roll. Okay, Dow futures are up 18 points, Nasdaq up 99, S&P up 20, the Russell's up 0.87%. 10-year Treasury yields are at lowest point since January 3rd, 3.895. We're at a sub 3.9. The VIX is down 2.3% this morning, 103.55, up 0.28% on the dollar. Crude oil is up nearly 1%, 76.54. And gasoline futures are up 0.13%. Just got a headline here. I want to go ahead and share it. More than 600 apps and games will be available for Apple Vision Pro, available this Friday, which is tomorrow, February 2nd. Remember, they report earnings after the bell today. Okay, good morning. Good morning. Morning, team. Got about the Google dip. Yep, Google is bouncing this morning. That is part of the pre-market movers at the bottom of the screen. Gold futures are down 0.43%, silver down 1.5%, copper down 1.11%. In terms of Forex land, the only big mover here is dollar yen, 146.54. That's down 37 pips. Bitcoin pulled back. I actually thought that we would get a nice pump in Bitcoin, but in a weird way yesterday with Powell, we did get a fall in the dollar. That's not a rise in the dollar. That's not the weird part. It's just that people were surprised of something that everyone was expecting. I don't know who exactly was expecting a March rate cut other than a couple of big banks. But the fact is, Fed Chair Powell stated that it's not likely that we'll get a March rate cut since we don't have a FOMC meeting in February. So just a reminder for this upcoming month, guys, there is no Fed meeting. So there we go. Just want to give that heads up. In terms of how we're looking in the market today, S&P 500, again, slight bounce. 48.75 when I was on the radio was a level I was discussing to everybody. That's the level from 2 Tuesdays ago. Seems that we bounced there. But again, first thing in the morning, we're going to see how the market moves. We do have big earnings after the bell, Meta, Amazon, and Apple. So very, very important. But I did put something on the watch list this week, and it was Qualcomm. So I just wanted to answer this question. Gustavo was asking about Qualcomm. Qualcomm, I had the gap to fill here. We didn't trade that, but again, you can see a possible double top. So I want to see if we can break below the 20-day moving average on Qualcomm puts. If we break it down, again, if we break down. But again, that 20-day moving average right there, 144.41. If that can break down, we can take a look at the 140 puts. That's the 50-day. If we're going to get a little bit of weakness. So we're going to see if we get that break. Again, I want to see if we have the volume, even have an hourly gap here at 140. That's going to be a priority today. That was one on the watch list from this weekend. 200 puts on BA. BA had their earnings and they soared. And now you're right here at this green dotted line that I drew months ago. And this is the level that we've had, pretty much a zone, mid-tier zone, let's just call it, between 197, that big range, to 220. In order to do calls, we got to get above 220 or at least above 215, and you can target the 220s. But as of right now, we're not there yet. I'd prefer 220 breaks because then we have a gap to fill to the upside near 242. But as of right now, it seems to be just kind of staying within range. So it's not much to do at this current moment. So BTC did the opposite of what you're expecting. Are you still bullish on Mara? Absolutely. Absolutely. Mara is actually up while Bitcoin is down. So there is a little bit of decoupling there. But in terms of what I'm looking for, again, we've gotten a couple of spikes, downward trend too. So what we need to do is we need to get above 19 again. I still have the 19 calls. And again, I fully expect that Bitcoin with its golden cross, Mara, its golden cross on the 1 hour as well, that we have more upside on it. And that's why I bought time. So again, if any kind of change in terms of volume comes around, then we'll keep an eye on it. But even with Bitcoin down, you can see down 0.75, Mara is up. So a little bit of decoupling there, possibly. It's a volatile name. That's just what it is. But trying to really shoot for the moon on this one. and trying to see if I can catch something really strong like we did on DraftKings, where we closed on that 1 hour possible double top from right here back a couple weeks ago, and then we continued to soar. And I don't want to miss out on that for you guys again. That's the only reason that I want to hold Mara. And I still think, like DraftKings, that we're going to continue to go higher to 2085 for Mara. But again, it is up pre-market, at least that at the moment. Let's take a look at Bitcoin so you can see exactly what I'm looking at. Bitcoin, again, 44,000. That's double top, triple top, whatever you want to call it. We keep knocking on the door. The support is 42,140. Possible setup of inverse head and shoulders, which is a bullish formation. I'm going to die on that hill and say that Bitcoin's going to go higher. Fair enough. I'll go on that hill and I'll yell that, yes, I still think Bitcoin goes higher. That is going to be really dependent on the dollar. The dollar's just been chopping around, even with the FOMC yesterday. We had weaker than expected in terms of employment news, more jobless claims that came out, and then the Challenger layoff report was the worst since 2009. So maybe we're starting to see that crack in that labor market. And if that's the case, the dollar is going to fall very quickly because now the onus is on the Fed to do that rate cut possibly in May. And again, that's what we're looking for. How long does the labor market hold up? When does the Fed act? That is pretty much the biggest deal that we're looking for. ETH up to 4K by May may cause ETF approval. Yeah, I posted that on the actual blog last night. Could it be 4,000 by what, May? Oof. That's tough sledding. You're talking about nearly double of what we are at currently. Let me show you guys the actual chart here. This is from Standard Chartered. It's a bank or investment bank. ETH is projected to hit $4,000 by expected approval date. Sell-offs would be milder than the PTC post-approval. So that's really what the market's waiting for. So what you might get is a run-up into the news. Sure, we could. Again, Golden Cross as well. That was formed back in December. 2750 or 2728 or so seems to be that resistance. That's that top that we hit. The question is, do we continue to melt up higher? I still think ETH is still going to go higher. Absolutely. 4,000 is saying a lot. I don't know if we're going to get there by May. That's very, 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 that's a very high standard that to meet. I don't know if we're going to get there. I mean, I think at best by May, let me see if I can get an actual good number. What, 3,000 by May? That would be nice, but we would really need that juice to flow on that ETH ETF talk. Sell the news event. BTC was a sell the news event, but again, that's if you're trading it. If you're just owning it, none of this really matters. At the end of the day, you're holding it long term. But if you're trying to trade it, yeah, right there, that was where we kind of got the sell the news rally to the downside on BTC, right around 48,563. And again, we came back down. We bounced right at that gap fill from futures, right there, 39,656. You can see it right here. And then now we're holding up above the 50. You need to get above the 20-day. But 44,270 is the target that we are looking for. Has the Fed changed my mind into anything? No. But remember, after February 15th, after Valentine's Day, seasonally weaker. So the idea is we finally get some retesting. We get a pullback, and then we can buy the dip from there. But that's really all we can do right now in terms of seasonality, in terms of the market. I mean, even after the Fed speaking, this is where we are. We're bouncing slightly. So maybe a little bit overdone short term, possibly. What we're looking for today, if we are looking for more upside or some kind of bounce, we got to get above 4,900. That's really the main level that we're looking for. Shot pulled back, unfortunately, and it's bouncing slightly. But if we take a look and stand this out or kind of look back at this, it's still above the 20 right now at this moment anyways, and it's just at a consolidation phase. The problem is time. Knocking on the door at 84.31. We're $4 away. The question is, when do we get it? That happened to us with Amazon. We had the 160 calls. And what happened literally the next week? We got to 160, 157. Goldman Sachs, we had the calls. We pulled back. And not only that, if we would have just waited a day, another week, we would have got to 390, 391 and cut that to the 400 calls. So it's a difficult endeavor at this very moment because the timing and just the volatility, not volatility, but just chop is absolutely brutal at this moment. So you're not getting that continuation. You got to hit what you can hit. And that's why we really didn't do much yesterday, because shoot, man, we got to make sure and really make sure that we get in and get the hell out as soon as possible. The one stock that stands out to me today that I think we get that opportunity where it's going to be a quick hitter is Qualcomm. If Qualcomm can break below 144.41, you buy the 140 puts for next week and we can hit that. But we got to make sure we have volume. Yeah, the market is very strong. It's resilient. I mean, it's a bull market. What can you say? Shorting is not easy. You're really going against the trend. Perfect example, AMD. We had the 160 puts, if you guys remember, from last week. I talked about it on the market recap last week. Got that push higher, and then we got that push lower. If we would have just waited a couple hours, we would have got it the next day. But then now we got to 160 pre-market. So technically speaking, the target that we wanted was hit, but it just bounced. So now what do you do on AMD? I mean, if you look at this chart, not much at this moment. Gonna have to get above maybe 170, 171 and see what we can do. But the resilience is there. Not even close to tagging that 20-day on AMD. These semiconductors, they're bullish at this moment. It's just difficult to short them. Everyone wants a piece of them, especially with their future growth prospects. Difficult endeavor. Bounce to fill daily gaps, SPY and Qs. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely something that we can watch. That's right at 490. Downside watch right around 479 is the number in question on SPY. That's your 20-day. We're at 484. So we're about $5 above that. So we're getting a bounce. You're pretty much at the midpoint between 490 and 480. What can you do? It's heads or tails at the moment. And the worst part is if you open something, if you don't buy time, you're just going to get chopped until we find some kind of direction. Like, for example, with Apple. And keep in mind that Qualcomm actually had a good report. Apple was bouncing in sympathy, but it pulled back as well. So a little bit of weakness in terms of handset sales, maybe, even though they showed good demand. Apple's going to answer a lot of questions today with their earnings. Yeti cups are neat. I have one in my office. I actually have two. Let's go to the daily. Yep, look at this, just sideways action. Not much to do. I mean, if you break above 55, that's a breakout, fine. If you tag the 200-day, which is at 43.08, you can use that as support. But really has been dead money for the most part since November of 2023, actually. Let's take a look at Microsoft. Above 410, it's all-time high. We're at 401. Nice bounce. Yeah, 410 wouldn't be the bad play. Maybe 408, Jeff. That'd probably be one of the levels that you're looking for as well. But that's where we are today, team. If you guys have any questions, make sure to follow us on the server and the market blog, and I'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions, guys. It's another day starting. It's Thursday. Let's see what Qualcomm does, because that's what I want to really go for today. I think that can be a quick one. So Qualcomm on the radar. Make sure to keep an eye on it. Let's see if we break 144.41. We'll leave it there, guys. Have a great rest of your morning. I will see you guys on the server. If you are interested in joining the server, make sure to go to our website, www.gar.capital. Let me go ahead, get the site up for you guys so you guys see it. If you guys are interested, just go to access our Discord. First picture, first button there, and then right here, free plan. That's to get you over here to the live market block. People always ask, do you guys have free trials? Do you guys have any free plans? That plan will be free for life. So enjoy it. Hope to see you there, and have a great rest of your Thursday, guys. Cheers.